Let's talk about the best type of content to create as an entrepreneur. Now, if you are growing a business, chances are you'll be like, when did creating content become part of building a business and growing a brand? Like, how? So we're going to talk a little bit about like knowing which content to create, not only to get the likes and the engagement, but to actually get your clients. So let's jump into it. So I'm not going to act like I have always known the best type of content to create to attract clients. I'm going to be honest, this has been a struggle for me in the past. Sometimes it is a struggle for me, but what I'm sharing with you in this video is what has actually worked, what I've done, and what I've seen gotten results. Right? Is that right? Is that correct? Is that correct English? Anyways, I'm talking about the things that I have done that I've seen results from, right? And so the first thing I want to talk about is a lot of entrepreneurs are stuck into a content loop. Oftentimes, because you know you need to be creating content, you're just creating anything, you're just posting just because. But are you creating the content that your audience wants? Are you addressing the pain points and talking about their desires and the needs and providing even a solution, right? What is your purpose of creating content? Yes, I know you need to be on social media. Yes, I know you need to be creating content, but do you have a strategy? That's a big thing that a lot of entrepreneurs don't have. A lot of them don't have a strategy. So, one of the things I find is that sometimes we get so caught up in the pretty graphics. We get caught up in just posting the video and being all over the place. We get caught up in being on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook and all over the place. But you're showing up in places where your audience is not even is, and you're creating content that your audience is not even interested in or wouldn't even engage with, right? So one of the things I have learned is that pretty graphics don't pay bills, likes don't pay bills, and getting the wrong clients or not attracting the right clients makes it feel like you're wasting a lot of time. So here's what has been working for me. The first thing is when I create content that talks specifically about a pain point for my target audience, I see some traction. So before, I used to talk a lot about Canva, right? And talking about Canva didn't always get me the clients, but what it helped me to do was to bring about some awareness of what I know. So what I was able to do was to establish authority. Also, creating the Canva content to help me to address the pain points of a lot of persons or entrepreneurs who were using Canva and didn't quite know how to use it. So one of the key things you want to do in terms of determining the type of content to create is first identifying the pain point. What is something your audience is currently struggling with? What is so hard for them, so challenging for them to do, and you have an answer or a solution or a resource that can help them? That's a good start point in terms of creating your content. No, so one of the things I've found is that depending on your audience, they don't want to be educated. They want to be aware of the problem. And one of the problems that we sometimes get caught up in, and I've made this mistake is always feel like I need to educate. So I'd give you the 3 tips and the this and the that. But really what you want to be doing is to show them how the problem that they're having is holding back and creating some type of ignorance for them. Just like this video, you not knowing the type of content to create is holding you back, and I'm just pinpointing how you can do that. And I have a resource for you, so you want to stick around for that, right? Another content you can create is a desired based content. So this comes a lot into messaging, and this comes with knowing your audience. So this means what are the desires of your audience or for your clients or your customers? What is something they desire? So you're not just talking about the problems or painting a picture of the problem, but you are painting a dream. What is the dream, right? The dream for you is that you want to know the right content to create, how to show up, and to create that confidently and not feeling like you're all over the place and confused in that content creation process, right? That is the dream. And if that's the dream, comment and let me know, right? Then another thing is to teach strategically. So as a service-based provider, if you are providing a service, one of the powers that you have is sharing your knowledge, sharing your skills, and letting people know what you know really well. So when I say teaching strategically, it's not just about giving tips and advice, but more so looking at the problem they have. Why are they having that problem, and the solution that they might be overlooking, right? So you will see some of that coming out through this video. And an example is, if you're struggling to post content that actually drives action, it's likely because sometimes you don't have a clear brand strategy, right? And I'll be talking about that a little in a few. So that's one of the ways how you can teach strategically. So I came on here and I'm like, okay, you feel like, you have to be creating content all the time for business, and you feel like you're all over the place, and here are the type of content you can create. But I can tell you all of these things, but if you don't have a strategy, the truth is you're still not going to show up the way you should in your business. Another thing is that you should create content consistently. When I say consistently, you need to be creating content consistently. And I'm going to give you a plug, right? So I had a client who reached out to me and decided she wanted to work with me because I was consistent. She was like, you know what, Carey, I see how you're posting. I see how you're showing up, not only in terms of frequency, but what you're talking about. And I really want to work with you. So when this client reached out to me, the first thing she said was, I liked how consistent you are. And this client has been following me for years. Well, I would say years, probably like 2 years, right? I don't want to over exaggerate. So she has been following me for about a year to 2 years. And one of the things I observed was that she was on my mailing list. She was following me on Instagram. I have another mailing list that, I have, and she was literally everywhere. And one of the things I found was, or identified, was that she was literally trying to get to know me, to see how consistent I was, but also to see if my words matched up and if my actions matched up. So those are some things that you need to bear in mind when you're thinking about creating the content and how you show up. It's about being consistent. No, of course, I believe I can be more consistent. And every now and then, there's a platform that I focus on more than the other. So sometimes I focus more heavily on Instagram. Sometimes it's more on YouTube. And so for you, it's about identifying where you want to show up and sticking to a schedule that works for you. I'm not talking about showing up every day if that's something you cannot undertake, but it is showing up consistently in a way that your audience know that, hey, you're going to be showing up, right? So let's talk about something. What if you are posting and you are getting crickets? Now, this is a big thing. This is a big thing. And I've heard this complaint from clients. I've heard it from other entrepreneurs. Oftentimes, when you're getting crickets or low views, it does not mean you're not reaching your target audience. Hear me out. So I have videos on my YouTube channel that get like 20 views. Hear me. I have spent time creating a video, putting it up, and no views. I have been creating content on YouTube since 2020. I don't have like a large subscriber count. I don't have all the watch hours. I don't have all the things that from a vanity standpoint would make me seem like, yeah man, things are going. But the thing is, because I've been consistently creating content, one, I have established myself as an authority, someone who knows Canva, right? And has built an authority in terms of someone who knows branding. So branding might be something new that you guys have been hearing me talk about a lot. But Canva, instantly when someone says Carey Digital, they think Canva, right? And eventually when I start talking more and when I continue talking more about branding, you're going to start thinking, oh, branding. And I've already had persons talking about that. So what am I saying? Because you're creating content and getting crickets or having the low views does not mean your target audience or potential clients are not seeing you. Here's what, they are watching you. So I'm going to give you a quick story. I recently got a client who I got through referral. How did that work? This client wasn't aware of me personally. However, because there was someone who follows me and doesn't even engage my content. Here's the craziest thing. This person probably hardly engage with my content, but they see what I'm doing. They're seeing the consistency. They know what I talk about. They know what my knowledge is on and in. Yeah, fix up the English, right? They know what I am talking about. They know what I'm established in. They have literally mentioned my name in rooms and mentioned my name to the person who is looking for a service provider with that expertise. So what am I saying? You might be getting crickets, might not be getting the big engagement and all the likes, but people are watching and people are seeing, right? So that is one of the things I want to point out. I also want to say sometimes it takes time and traction for you to grow, right? Another thing is, though, and I don't want to dismiss this fact, is that sometimes if you're not getting the engagements, it's because maybe you're not talking to your audience or talking to your clients, you're rather talking at them. And that's one of the biggest mistakes you want to make, especially when you're branding your business, building a brand, and growing your business. You want to be able to be talking to your audience, to your clients, and not at them. If you realize earlier I mentioned talking about identifying the pain points, identifying the desires, and providing a solution. So yes, you might be creating content, not getting the engagement, not getting the likes. That does not mean all is done. You just need to start identifying what is working and what isn't, and keep tweaking and growing from there. So I want to introduce you guys to a framework that I personally utilize for creating content, and it's called the Create Framework. Now, the Create Framework is an approach that I have been using over the last year that I've been pretty consistent with. It's a system that I have created in creating my brand. And if you want access to that framework and knowing how to create content easily without the overwhelm and the pressure, then you can access that guide in the description. I have a link in the description where you can get access to that framework, and this framework is going to help you with creating your content. And I'm not talking about creating content just to get likes or engagement, but in a way that will make sense and that is very intentional and with some strategy. Also, I have a 30-minute brand strategy session that I'm offering to you. So I'm offering 10 women entrepreneurs who have a service-based business, which means you are either sharing your knowledge, sharing your skills, you're providing a service, and you want to get an audit to find out what is really working. Is my content working for me? Am I creating the right content? And how can I improve? So I have that for you. I have the Create Framework guide, as well as I have a 30-minute brand audit session for you. So if you're interested in either of them, just click the link in the description and you can get that in your inbox and we can talk some more. All right, so I want to also talk about really assessing the content that works. A good way to assess the content that works is doing an audit. So like I mentioned earlier, you can book this free 30-minute brand audit session with me. But if you want to know the content that is working for you, go in your analytics, look at the content that has better traction in terms of views. But also, when someone reaches out to you, you should ask them this simple question: how did you hear about my business? Was it through a referral? Was it through content? You want to start identifying the points, the main points or the touch points that attracted or gained you that client, gained you that lead. So these are just some quick ways in terms of how you can easily identify the type of content to create. But most importantly, you want to first be able to know that you are talking to your audience and not at your audience, but also you want to be testing, experimenting, and doing the audits to identify what is working. So if you want access to the resources I mentioned earlier, click the link in the description, and yes, let's create content that actually works, that does not focus only on the vanity metrics, but also get you paying clients.